Hi Libra, this is your 2016 horoscope for everyone who has their ascendant, sun or moon in Libra. And you can find out what your ascendant sign is or moon sign is. If you know your time of birth, you can go to my birth chart calculator and scroll down to the planetary detail table once you enter your details, of course, and check the ascendant, the moon, and the sun sign, and listen if you have time to the three predictions. If you don't have time, at least to the ascendant sign and the sun sign, as everyone usually checks just their sun sign. So what does 2016 hold for you, Libras? Well, let's start with Saturn, the planet of fate and karma. And Saturn will be in a very auspicious position for Libras. It will be in the third house from Libra. Basically, in Sagittarius, it falls, Libra is first, Scorpio second house, and Sagittarius is your third house. And Saturn, the whole 2016 will be in your third house, and also 2017, so 2 years almost. So what does this mean? And why is it more auspicious? Because usually Saturn is a planet which brings more complications, shows us errors and mistakes we've made. And of course, there will be a certain energy of that as well in regards to third house matters. For example, relationship with siblings and relatives. If you've been having certain brewing problems between siblings and with relatives, they can come to the surface now, or into the life of a sibling of yours or relative. These problems can come to the surface and you might have to be there for them to help them. Or if your relationships are quite tense, when Saturn transits in your third house, they can escalate. But Saturn is not a body. Saturn just shows us when something really has to be taken care of. Otherwise, if you let it go, it gets even worse. So Saturn will show us the problems there, but will help us also correct them. And initially, there can be escalation of difficulties and some kind of enmity with such people. And in 2016, Mars also joins Saturn there. So certain complications or arguments with also associates, teammates, playmates, co-workers, third house rules, all those people in our environment that surround us that we're kind of put together because of fate. You know, third house is the siblings you're born with. Third house is the relatives. You don't choose them. It's the colleagues you work with. It's the schoolmates you have as well. It's the people in your everyday environment, like your neighbors. We can't choose our neighbors either. So these are the people around our environment every day to day that we have communications with, that certain problems can escalate. If you've been having some resentment brewing with a neighbor, now it can escalate, and there might be some problem that you have to solve. Or in a team of people that you work with, schoolmates, playmates. I remember when I had Saturn transit my third house from my ascendant, I had a breakup with schoolmates. We were best friends there, and they turned on me, and I was feeling lonely and upset. But it helped me find better people that were much more worthy, much more serious, that stayed in my life for much longer after that, and they're still my friends. So third house is a social house of people in your environment, so you can create now more lasting such relationships. So by first confronting some problem and facing it and making changes in regards to those relationships, you can improve them. But usually, if there is a problem, Saturn always escalates it with those people. Though Saturn is very good, if you have to work on something serious with such people, maybe with work, if you have to be, you might be placed in a situation of having to team build or do some work in a team with others or with associates. And Saturn can make you be more focused, more disciplined in that regards, more responsible. You can get a lot of important work done when you're connected with associates in some way or people in your environment. And the people who are learning or studying something, Saturn can very much help them, because Saturn makes the mind, the third house is the mind, much more disciplined, much more structured, much more deeper, so it's very good time to learn some technical skills, or to acquire some skill which you've always wanted, or you might be forced to do that. Maybe have to take a course on something to learn how to drive a car, how to operate machinery, how to use the internet, how to use some software, how to do a website. Third house is all those skills that we pick up and we learn And oftentimes when I see Saturn in the third house, people are very much involved with learning new things, with whether it's a language, whether it's playing an instrument, whether it's anything, skill of the hands and skill of the mind, and learning new technologies, new techniques, perfecting your technique in something, whether you're a painter, for example, because third house rules anyone who uses their hands in arts and crafts, in painting, in drawing, in writing as well. It can very much focus your mind, make you be more in control of those skills, make you be more disciplined and persevering when you're approaching those things. But first you might feel overwhelmed because Saturn always brings extra responsibilities. You know, learning a new skill or perfecting a skill is not an easy thing. It requires a lot of dedication. It requires a lot of hard work, which is what Saturn is about. But you know, you might feel like, oh, I'm not up to that job. I can never learn this, or I can never learn to master that skill. But don't worry, because Saturn is 2 years there. You have the time, and you have the focus, and you have the structure and discipline that Saturn brings. And Mars will bring you, because it will be also in your third house, bring you an extra help of willpower to tackle such difficult things that you've been putting for a while. And it's a very good time to be initiative as well, because the third house is the house of self-initiative and courage. And when Mars and Saturn, two malefics, are there, they love it. Because in order for you to tackle difficult tasks, like learning new skills, so like initiating, starting something new that, you know, you don't think you have the skills till now, or the knowledge in some way, Saturn and Mars mobilize you. And you say to yourself, or the outer circumstances press you, if it's not you that are doing it, the outer circumstances pressure you to do that. And by the end of this process, you'll be very happy with the results. You know, usually people can learn something very much in depth, can master something very well. But on the negative side, third house is your thinking. So Saturn there can make you a little bit more negative, because Saturn lowers vibrations, can make you a little bit more resentful in your mind, or try to stay humble, try not to be judgmental, because third house is how we judge others, what our opinions on others are. Saturn wants you to be humble, don't think you're better, or don't look down on others who are not doing the job as well as you, if you have to work in a team in some way or cooperate with others. Please don't, because Saturn can, you know, Saturn punishes, and I know it's a hard word, but it punishes pride, and it wants you to stay humble, work as hard, and don't judge. So yes, so all of these themes can be happening, but at the same time, as I said, it's a very good time for initiating some difficult things that you've... third house rules self-made money. So people in businesses, for example, can have a great boost from Saturn in the third house. And as I said, they're both malefics. Mars and Saturn will be in the third house for a big part in 2016 for you. And malefic planets like to be in this difficult house, because in order for us to master difficult things, we need to have the inner push, you know, and we need to have the determination and to be tough and persevering. And Mars and Saturn help us for that. But just be careful, because you might feel a little bit more negative. If you're naturally inclined to feel more negative and judgmental, you see this manifesting, especially in your relationships, in your everyday life. Try to stay humble. Again, I repeat, try not to be too argumentative, because Mars in your third house can always bring like some sparring and arguments in some way, but having to prove your opinions as well. And third house, let's see what else it rules. I think self-made wealth, you know, so any kind of schemes or plans, you can start putting them into action in 2016, which are connected to you. Just a second. A bit more light, which are connected to you creating your wealth that is self-made, that is not dependent on salary or some outer sources. That's why it's very good for entrepreneurs. If any of you Libra entrepreneurs, you can put into great use and your skills, your talents to manifest materially. And third house rules any kind of professions which are connected to writing, speaking, teaching, to traveling in some sort. Be careful on your travels though, and if they're travels for fun, they might be a bit more problematic, as two malefics are there. But if they're traveling for work or to do something important, some tough task, then Saturn will help you, and Mars there will help you. So careers that are marketing, advertising, management, anything which uses the logical part of the brain. So many careers which have administration, management, who have advertising, marketing, social networking is also the third house. The internet is the third house. So you might have to do some restructure. If you have your own business or internet business, you might have to do maybe a new website, restructure it. If there's you become aware of the your managerial errors that you've made till now. So you might have to take a few extra courses on advertising, managing, social networking, it can create a crisis in you, and you say, oh, now you find out those mistakes and how you've been leading a business, how you've been managing it, how you've been planning it, how you've been, making it, advertising it. Or if your work involves any of those things, speaking, writing, you can be very busy now for 2016 with such careers. You can put a lot of effort and manifest a lot in regards to such careers. And nowadays, almost 80% of careers require such third house skills of communication, writing, speaking, using technologies, networking, advertising, managing, all those things. And there is pressure there on you. But Saturn makes sure that you put things in order there, that you correct the errors, that you learn better and more efficient ways of doing things, that you organize better things around you in your schedule as well, and in your business or in your work in some way. So it can be very busy time, very busy. And if you're working hard in that direction, Saturn gives rewards. Saturn can very much bring powerful results if you've put efforts in 2016 and 17 in those areas of your life. Okay, so it is a supportive. Ancient astrologer says when Saturn is in the third house, we get an extra push. All the things that we usually start, we're able to complete them. We're able to make them happen because we're more skillful, we're more determined, we're more courageous as well. Okay, then let's see where Jupiter is. Wherever Jupiter is, Libra, it helps you expand, it helps you grow, it brings new opportunities for you. And Jupiter is going to be in your 11th house till September 2016. So any 12th house activities and careers can prosper. And while Saturn requires a lot of hard work and fixing things that don't work and correcting errors, it still can give you progress, but it's through, kind of complications first. Though Jupiter is the opposite. Jupiter just opens doors, allows things to flow there without having to correct problems, And Jupiter in the 12th house can be very auspicious for people in creative careers, because 12th house is the imagination, where you're relying. For example, third house is technical writing and speaking, having the discipline to sit down and write. But 12th house is having the imagination. So for writers as well, it's very good. Jupiter is in your 12th house. Your imagination, you connect to the invisible worlds when Jupiter is in your 12th house, and you receive higher inspiration from above. If you're doing some research, even in the scientific field, Jupiter in the 12th house makes you connect again to the invisible channels of information, and you can receive it as an inspiration, as a dream, the answer to your research. You can do a very in-depth understanding of certain subject. You see how both Saturn and Jupiter are connected to areas in your horoscope that rule knowledge. And Saturn in the third house rules information, practical knowledge, data crunching, more logical, more, this left brain information, which is so if you've made any mistakes with numbers, Saturn will make you correct them, with managing, with organizing, with the information that you receive and give to structure it better. Otherwise, there will be otherwise Saturn shows you, points you those mistakes, makes you suffer there so you don't repeat them. And Jupiter is in your 12th house, which is the right side of the brain, is it the right, left, whatever, the more creative side that's connected to the invisible world. And you can gain understanding and deeper mastering of certain knowledge and information, but more intuitively this time. If you are really, immersing yourself in thinking about certain subject, certain area. You can get like eureka, inspirational moments through Jupiter in the 12th house, almost like, wow, how did I not realize this? For example, the person who created the table of, the element table, was it Lomonosov? He dreamt it. He was working on it for years and years, and it didn't make sense how they all fit together. And then he went to sleep, which is 12th house, and he dreamt how the whole periodic table should be arranged. So Jupiter in the 12th house can give you such inspirations through dreams, through intuition, through intuitive breakthroughs, answers to questions you've been working on for a while. And also you can, if you have parents or close ones that are in the invisible world that have passed on, Jupiter in the 12th house can be ideal time till September to connect with them, to receive inspiration and messages from them, to maybe do past life regression, because 12th house rules your past lifetimes, and Jupiter brings knowledge and light in that area of your life. Why, for example, you have some certain self-undoing habits, or why, for example, you something is not going in an area of your life, you can have a past life regression and resolve that. It's past life karma, 12th house, that Jupiter helps resolve, or past karma, that Jupiter can bring you the good results of your past karma. So Jupiter in the 12th can be good or bad, depending what your previous actions were. If you piled up, if you are kind, helpful, when Jupiter transits in your 12th house, you will receive support. It might be invisible from the other world, but very likely it's a support that you didn't expect. It's some support that comes to you from a source that you expected the least. Some kind of a hidden support that you receive. Maybe someone talking good about you, maybe someone recommending you, or maybe you're in need of something and someone comes out of the blue. Maybe you helped someone 10 years ago and someone else comes out of the blue and helps you in the same way. So Jupiter can muster up the invisible world behind you to help you in your endeavors, to help you if you have need of something, And Jupiter can also, in the 12th house, it's your spirituality, spiritual connection. So when Jupiter is there, you can have a stronger connection with the invisible world. Again, as I said, intuition, inspirations, you can have some spiritual healing of a sense that happens. It's fantastic to go away on holiday in faraway places or ashrams, or to take a break, and because you'll receive amazing inspiration. If you want to write a book, go away in a different place, isolate yourself, and the inspiration will flow. And Saturn in the 3rd house of writing will give you the discipline to persist with your task, and your skills. 12th house, Jupiter is fantastic for traveling abroad, going on holidays, connecting to other cultures, and getting in touch with the invisible, expanding your spiritual practices, maybe finding a spiritual teacher of sort. For the more practically minded, 12th house rules expenses, so Jupiter can expand your expenses, but usually these are for some kind of mind expanding and pleasurable activities, because Jupiter is a benefic. Maybe on some course you want to take, so you have to have expenses. Maybe on some journey you want to take of self-discovery. Maybe because you're, something that brings you more knowledge, more clarity. So there might be more expenses connected to that. But overall, Jupiter in the 12th tends to expand a little bit expenses. But these can be good expenses, something that you invest in long-term investments, expenses that go in long-term investments. Because the 12th house is the bank reserve that is hidden away, tucked away till it gets, so you're investing for the future in something. If you're doing some financial investments, make them long-term investment, not short ones, which will feel right now like expenses for you, because it's money that goes away, whether it's in your education, whether it's in some other skill or something real tangible that you invest in, but long-term, Let's see what else. 12th house is charity. So while Jupiter is in your 12th house, it's a very auspicious time for anyone who is in any charity organizations, who is connected in any way to helping others. And you might find yourself more compassionate towards others and more understanding and forgiving. It's time for forgiveness. When Jupiter is in the 12th house, if you've always had a problem forgiving someone in your life, whether it's a parent, whatever figure it is, now is the time you can release, because there is nothing that blocks opportunities and development and creates more difficult fate than inability to forgive. And even if it's someone that, in the worst case scenario, killed someone close you have, cheated on you, left you for another man or a woman, and you still can't forgive them, or even physically attacked you in some way, when Jupiter is in the 12th house, you have an opportunity to work on that through a counselor or on yourself through prayer, because prayer is very powerfully heard, to ask for, to forgive them and ask for forgiveness yourself. And because it's a concluding phase, the 12th house of Jupiter, which means when you say your forgiveness and when you forgive to someone, when Jupiter transits from September in your sign Libras, which will continue till September, October 2017, so for almost 1 year. If you've been able to forgive someone, like look back to your past while Jupiter is in your 12th house. Look back to anyone you haven't forgiven, someone at your school that used to bully you, you haven't forgiven and you still keep resentment. Someone, no matter, it might be something small, something very bad. Everyone has someone that, like, for me, sometimes my father is very hard to forgive, and because he's been very strict, but find it in your heart to look back at your life and to forgive those people, because when Jupiter enters in your sign from September 2016 till September 2017, it will bring you amazing opportunities. But only if you are able to let go of certain resentment and pain from the past. And that's why Jupiter in the 12th prepares you for that. And people who are not spiritually minded, they'll say, what a hog of bullshit, you know. And they'll keep up to this resentment. And when Jupiter enters their first house, it will bring much less opportunities than to others who are able to release certain pain from the past. I can give you an example from my life. When Jupiter transited my 12th house, I reconciled with certain person in my life, certain two people that I've been hurt with. I didn't actually even go and ask them, told them I forgive you or anything like that. I just managed to bump into them. Someone from the past can come, and I saw their perspective, and I realized, I'm not bitter at you anymore. I forgive you. I actually prayed for that. And you have such opportunities. Try and take advantage of them, because then Jupiter enters your sign. So from September, October 2016, once in 12 years, Jupiter is in your sign, Libra, and opportunities will start blossoming, new opportunities for growth, for expansion, for whatever skills you've been working on. You can implement them and start something new. You can, whatever, hard things you've been working on, so with Saturn in the 3rd house, putting efforts, they'll start paying off materially, financially, and things will just start blossoming, especially for those in 2016, those Libras who are born in the first 22 degrees of Libra will feel the Jupiterian help, the Jupiterian expansion. And these are basically those Libras that are born from the 23rd of September, approximately, till the 14th of October. Jupiter will be in 2016, the last 4 months on those degrees. Get ready. Till then, prepare yourself psychologically with your resources, with knowledge, with information. And the moment Jupiter enters your first house, you can start implementing those big plans. You can start seeing results for them. You can start, it's very, I always advise, if you have Libra, Sun, Ascendant, or Moon, wait till September, and then you'll see that when you start those new things, when Jupiter is in your sign, doors will open more easily. Those opportunities, you won't have to push through doors. Till then, prepare, because Jupiter is still in your 12th house. It brings you deeper understanding. You can reevaluate, let go of the past, forgive, and prepare for what you want from the future. And once Jupiter comes into your sign, yay, that's your green light. That's your the universe coming together to help you manifest on the material, physical level. Okay, but we'll talk more about Jupiter in your sign for the 2017 videos, because now mostly Jupiter is in your 12th house, and I talked about that. Be more charitable, be more forgiving. People in creative fields of work can be, or research fields can be very auspicious time for them. People in traveling, people in overseas type of careers, people in, what is 12th house? Yeah, anyway, forgot. In spiritual fields can also benefit a lot. Let's see what else is happening. I want to give you Mars. Mars will be also Mars will be in your second house. Mars will get retrograde in your second house, Libras. And that's not the whole 2016, but it's a whole period, whole process continues from February till September, while Mars is moving backwards and forwards in your second house of finances, Libras. So Mars is about taking new actions, and Mars is very strong when it's retrograde, especially in the period, in the spring for the Northern Hemisphere, autumn for the Southern Hemisphere, especially in the spring. They might be cautious with your finances around that time, because Mars can make you be too reckless and waste money, or you might have sudden expenses. For example, when my partner had Mars retrograde in his second house, which happens once every 17 years, by the way, we had big expenses because we bought property, and he was very stressed financially. We were quite destabilized financially, but it was for a good cause, So you might have big expenses around the spring, the summer till in August. It finishes fully, July, August. Those financial destabilization finishes, but it pushes you. If this happens, it pushes you first of all to be more initiative in finding new sources of income, to be more. Mars is this military, strategic planet of strategic logic, military planning, that you have to probably use in regards to your resources, possession, finances in some sort. But for people who are a bit more reckless, be careful not to spend or invest in things that can, or give money like that, because it might be hard after that. It might take a while to stabilize the situation. Okay, so I just want to give you specific degrees. Those of you Libras who are born with Libra ascendant, sun or moon from 16 till 25 degrees in Libra, 16 till 25 degrees in Libra, ascendant, sun or moon, which means that basically your sun is born from 16 to 25 degrees. It means from around the 9th of October to around the 17th, 18th of October. You're going to have one transit. You will definitely feel it. You're going to have a Uranus transit, opposition. This will repeat again in 84 years, very rare transit for you. So this opposition makes big sudden changes in your life. You'll definitely feel it if you're born around those days or those degrees. If it's your moon from those degrees, from 16 till 25, you might have to relocate, change place of living. You might change strongly your relationship with your family, or the status of your family can suddenly change out of the blue. If you feel like you've been restricted in your family or in your personal life, you would want to break away. If you're in an unstable marriage, you might break away because you no longer can put up with the demands of that. You want freedom, you want truthfulness, authenticity. If you've been staying in a situation, whether it's your ascendant, sun, or moon, which you've been just doing it because, of social requirements, because of, things that are moral, ethical, whatever. When Uranus aspects your planets, you would just say, no, I want truthfulness, I want authenticity. Well, if it's your moon, usually it's family, personal life, relationships with women, mother, place of living. If it's the ascendant, it's overall your life, especially relationships. You can break away from a limiting relationship or marriage. Or if you want to keep your marriage, if you're born with ascendant or moon those degrees, you have to make big changes in that relationship. You have to maybe relocate somewhere. You have to maybe welcome a new member, like a child. Something will change dramatically the dynamics of your relationship, and it can be for good. If you welcome such changes, it will be for good and it will save the relationship. But if this relationship is really not authentic, not for you, and or you're adamant not to change things, it will come to you from outside and it can disrupt the whole relationship. And it can affect your physical appearance, that you decide to change how you look, that you decide to change how you act, that you decide to change how you do any kind of relationship, business partnership, personal partnerships. If it's your sun on those degrees or those days that I mentioned, from around the 9th to around the 19th of October. Is it 19th? yes, to around the 18th, 9th, or around the 18th of October, then you might be having to break away from a limiting career, a career which is not really authentic for you. It might be if you've been resisting it for a long time and you've been feeling this is not the right place for me, but you haven't had the right circumstances. Now something will happen. If you don't have, the circumstances will get you out of that career, suddenly, out of the blue. If you're trying to find the job, 2016, you have those degrees, you might be changing a few jobs because Uranus is inconsistent energy, it's on and off, different. If you're in the right career, you might have to make big restructuring of your plans and your goals, big innovating of some way, using new technologies, using something that is feels quite new, quite fresh, but it can be disturbing because it destabilizes the status quo, but you cannot keep the old status quo. If you want to keep this thing in your life, you have to change it in a big way. And if you don't change it, it will be taken away from your life. Or if it's not authentic and truthful for you, it will be taken away from your life. Or you'll leave it because you can't tolerate any more falseness or limitations that are restricting and are not taking you anywhere. So big restructuring, guys. So this is what I see for you, Libras. Thank you very much. If you'd like, you can always have a reading with me at astrolada.com, or you can have a reading with my astrologers. They're more available and they have longer experience than me and can be more to the point. Or you can check your personal transits for the next 3 years from my birth chart calculator below all the tables. No one else in the world will have the same transits like you. The calculator points them to you, and you can watch a video for each of those specific important planetary influences and what's required from you. Thank you, Libras.